this man, who is the son of Philip Effiong, analyze the situation of Biafra.
This is in-depth analysis.
And it was bound to happen that people would rise up. My father said it. He said, if you don't treat these Biafrans well, their children will rise up. So
he said, his father said it, that if you don't treat these Biafra children very well, their children will rise up. And we have risen up now. Let me play it again.
This is in-depth analysis.
And it was bound to happen that people would rise up. My father said it. He said, if you don't treat these Biafrans well, their children will rise up. So anybody that is acting as if they are surprised.
Are you hearing it? I am bringing this up for those who will be writing to the ICC, for those who will be writing to the United Nations. We are writing too. You are not the only one writing them. You are writing the United Nations. We are writing United Nations too. You are writing to the ICC about Samonekpa. We are writing to the ICC too. So any place you write, we will write too. So you are not the only one who know how to write. So I want you all to listen to the history that God is using us to fulfill today. And those people that are writing those nonsense, just make sure that you don't enter Biafra the first 5 years of Biafra declaration. Make sure you stay in exile until our anger against you will come down. After 5 years, it may even be more. Don't just dream of coming to Biafra, because the fight we are fighting today has taken the life of many. So if all you do is to sit in one small place in Germany or other places to be writing rubbish, countering Biafra freedom, make sure, because we have all your informations, we have your name, we have your everything, and just make sure you don't enter Biafra the first 5 years to 10 years of Biafra declaration. Don't enter. I am telling you the fact. We may not do like the Mossad. We may not do like Israel, like what they did in the past, hunting those who were sabotaging and who have become terrorists, killing Israelis all over the world. They hunted them in Europe. They hunted them anywhere they are. We are not going to do that. We're not going to do that. But what we are telling you is that as you have made yourself the two against the freedom of Biafra people, just remain where you are. After 5 years, when we have declared Biafra, do not come. I'm just giving you a tip that don't come. Don't come. Remain where you are, because we know you all of you from A to Z. But this is not the time to address that. So I want everybody to listen to this.
This is in-depth analysis.
And it was bound to happen that people would rise up. My father said it. He said, if you don't treat these Biafrans well, their children will rise up. So anybody that is acting as if they are surprised, they're either ignorant or they don't want to face reality. So when the people rise up and begin to agitate, like IPOB and other groups, what you need to do is give them a space. What a true leader does is create space for dialogue. Now, one of the things I praise IPOB and other pro-Biafran groups for, because I know there have been others, is that they have finally brought this story to light. They played a key role, so they must be commended for doing that. Otherwise,
the Biafra story, which his father said that if you do not treat their parent good, their children will rise against you. He acknowledged that finally we have brought the Biafra story to life. I'm going to shock many people today with the exposition we are here to do. So we have just confirmed that this Biafra story, that many people were killed in order to even continue to kill today. Today they have decided that if you talk about Biafra, you are dead. They're going to kill you. They're going to burn your house and everything. And that's exactly what is going on. But what little did they know, that not even that can stop us. That can make us very strong. But now that we are going into an open confrontation, which is going to start very soon, I want everybody to listen, because we are going to drag all of them into this. There will never be peace until you allow Biafra people to decide their fate in that region. It is the right. Where your rights stop is where other person's rights start. It's our right to freedom, and that is what we are fighting for. And if you think that you are more in number, you conduct a referendum and let us see how it goes. But I want everyone to listen to this particular analysis.
Nobody would care about the tragedy of our history. You know, a lot of people talk about Chimamana's Half of a Yellow Sun as bringing the story to light. In a sense, yes. But even her book received the attention it did partly because of pro-Biafran groups and struggles. Self-determination is something that we must continue to aspire for. You know, it's not about young people only. It's not about any group of people. It's not about Igbos. It's about self-determination. And if you look at most of us here, we come from lands that provide Nigeria with majority of its wealth. And people have called us minorities. And we're tired of that. By the way, you also have oil on Igbo land, you know, so let's not let's make that fact clear, because it's also being used against the Igbos, the fact that they want to come and take other people's oil.
Did you hear that? He is making it very clear that you also have oil in Igbo soil. So anybody telling you do not listen to the Igbo because they want to take your oil is a complete fallacy. That is the propaganda that the ignorant people are flying all over social media. So, and he is a son to Philip Effiong, and that particular position, he has corrected it today, that Igbos also have oil in their soil. So anybody telling you we are fighting for Biafra because of oil is a propaganda. Do not believe that.
We need to understand that this is long-standing propaganda that goes back many years before many of us were born. This is propaganda that has demonized Igbos and has made us feel that we are somehow under the threat of Igbos. So that propaganda is still ongoing, even though the evidence shows that that's not true. And when I talk to my people, the things I tell them, who's your real enemy? You've been given a state since '67, and you've given the opportunity to control your geographical space and your resources. How have your lives improved? Your lives have only gotten worse. The enemy is not Igbos. The enemies are within you, your right there in your state. The political and economic elite who are ready to sell you and sell their consciences to make a profit, to make wealth. You should recognize that those are your enemies. Those who would collude with foreign national oil companies to take your wealth away from you, so that your hospitals are in such bad shape. Your roads were horrible until Akpabio came and fixed most of them. Your institutions are deteriorating. You know, you are living in poverty. You can't even enjoy something as basic as electricity supply. So it is for us to redirect, refocus on the real enemy. And it's hard to say, you know, within this space. I understand that time is against us, but we need to refocus and recognize who the real enemy is. And the enemy is not the people that we've lived with in harmony for generations, but those who would work with our enemies to undermine our lives, even though some of those people are right within our families, are from our ethnic groups, are speaking the same languages as we are. Those are real. When we understand that that's the real enemy, I think that will help us to come together and focus on that enemy, and not focus on what propaganda has told us, which is that our neighbors, the Igbos, are our problem. Unfortunately, some of our people are buying into it and are actually turning against Igbos for that reason. If you look at people that were killed during the second coup, Major Ekanem, Major Song. There's another name. There's someone. There was Major Rock. There was. I'm trying to remember the name of someone from is today the present Rivers State, and many others that people don't want to focus on because they want to make it seem as if it was just Igbos. Or look, or what about the governor of the Western region? I'm trying to remember, and if someone remembers his name, let me know. He was with Ironsi when Ironsi was abducted. The name will come back. Fajuyi, that's his name, yeah. Colonel Fajuyi. That's a Yoruba man that was killed. So the attacks, you can say in many ways they were primarily against Igbos, but they were not against Igbos because Igbos are Igbos. They were against Igbos because what they thought Igbos represented. These are the people that will challenge and prevent our complete domination and ownership of power. That's how they saw the Igbos, as people who wanted to control everything and take over power. And so anyone they felt was playing that role of trying to prevent them from gaining full power, they went after those people. That's why Fajuyi was killed. That's why there were attempts on my father's life. And my father had to flee from Kaduna in disguise and go to Lagos and eventually escape from Lagos to the east. Is he an Igbo man? No, my father can hardly make could hardly make a sentence in Igbo. You look at the structure, the leadership of Biafra, the secretary to the government, Enyu Akpan and Ibibio man as well. You look at people who play diplomatic roles like Mr. Kobara. I think he's an Ogoni man. Or think about the person who even came up with the name Biafra, Chief Opigo. Or think about one of the major propagandists in Biafra, Okokondem. Think about one of the greatest respected field commanders, Colonel Achibong. How many of these people are Igbos? You know, so it is ridiculous. And that's how the Eastern government was on several levels. I agree, you know, with people who say, well, you know, the Igbos occupied, you know, many key positions. That's true, but not only the Igbos. You know, there were many others, some of whom I've mentioned, and the people I've mentioned were already in the Eastern government. There's the late Ekogin Ambasi, a lawyer. He was also quite significant in the Eastern region, played a number of diplomatic roles before the war. And in the war, I think he headed the Anang province and was also a militia officer. And a lot of these people were together in that body that came and demanded that it is time for us to break away. We're not wanted in this country. We need reassurance. We need safety. We're not getting it. And so we can't continue to exist in fear. We can't continue to exist in a situation where our lives are constantly destroyed. You know, I was a little boy in Enugu before the war. And that's where some of the earliest battles took place. And I remember people marching on the streets and they were singing, you know, we are Biafrans fighting for survival in the name of Jesus. We shall conquer. And I remember those people. Sometimes we'll just march beside them. A lot of them were from a range of backgrounds. You could see traders there. You could see landlords. You could see teachers. So this nonsense about this thing being about the Igbos and the Igbo elite is crap. It's absolute crap. And it's one of those distortions that people use